Okay then, so we're back with another video, and this is just me talking about 7 things that Elder Scrolls 6 needs to have in light of, what we had in Elder Scrolls 5 and Skyrim. So without much ado, and these aren't going to be from orders from least to greatest or anything like that. These are just 7 things that really need to be in this game. So here we go, after the cut. So you might ask yourself, what is divergent progression? Well, basically divergent progression is essentially the ability in a video game where essentially different forms of gameplay are viable for towards the end of the game. So, for example, if I'm playing, let's say, a tabletop RPG, and I'm playing as a merchant, right? The skills and abilities that I pick up leveling up my character as a merchant should be able to be used in order to complete the overall campaign. So I might not be able to fight like a warrior or, have the healing abilities of a priest, but I'm rich, so clearly I can have customized armor made and weapons made, and that's kind of an easy way out. But what if I use my connections to build an army to help me fight this ultimate enemy and save the world? Things like that are what make a game worthwhile, in my opinion. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about when I say divergent progression. So different gameplay styles should be just as viable towards getting through the game as other gameplay styles. I really would not like to see in the next Elder Scrolls game, yet again, well, you can be a swordsman, you can be kind of a rogue magic user, swordsman hybrid, sniper. Which, I mean, the problem wasn't that bad in Oblivion, but in Skyrim, it's almost the only real viable way to play the game and get far enough into it. So yeah, divergent progression needs to be in the next Elder Scrolls game. We'll move on to the next part after the cut. This is a big problem with the Elder Scrolls series since Skyrim and Elder Scrolls Online. Really, it's become kind of an action game first. Role-playing is far down the list. Role-playing needs to be brought back. So what I mean by this is there needs to be distinctly bring back classes. And, for people who only really got into the Elder Scrolls games after Skyrim, here's my idea, so that you don't lose those people. Have a class system kind of like based upon the old school stuff where you chose a class, but those classes, or you had major and minor skills, and then basically as you leveled up your major skills, you would level up faster in those skills than when you're with your minor skills, which took longer, but gave you kind of like a second set of abilities to use. And maybe have it so that once you've reached, plateaued with a skill, let's say hypothetically you choose to be, I'm going to be a swordsman. So what you do is you essentially, in order for you to become a swordsman, what you do is you focus on one-handed weapons and two-handed weapons, and you get a bonus to whenever you're using a bladed weapon. Okay, that's the swordsman thing. They get an automatic bonus. Well, let's say hypothetically speaking, once you've gone down that, you've leveled up, you can have a perk-like system like you had in Skyrim. Once you've maxed out the sword-based skills with that, things get kind of weird. Like your character's like, okay, well now I'm kind of like a swordsman, so you can bloom that skill, which basically takes all the abilities that you've unlocked there and creates, like, opens up a new skill tree that focuses primarily on swords, giving you more specializations and special abilities you can do. And maybe you can essentially do the same thing with your minor skills and create your own custom classes that way, kind of. Like, let's say you focus primarily on destruction magic and swordsmanship. You bloom those two skills. It creates a new skill tree that has skills pertaining to being a swordsman who also channels elemental spells into your sword. You become a spell blader or a spell mage or a sword mage or whatever. That type of thing. So that's just one of my ideas. So yeah, I would like to see an overhauled system that encourages role playing versus just going around killing shit. And all or not, you can do everything, and there's no limitations to characters. So with that being said, let's move on to number 2, or should I say number 3. Now, you might ask yourself, what do I mean by effective quests? Well, I mean quests that affect other aspects of the game. So, let me paint a scene for you. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, you completed a quest where you essentially wind up becoming the head or very influential up in the Thieves Guild. And let's say there's another quest where you have to stop a army from sieging a city, right? You have to pick a side between these two major armies that are fighting against each other. There's a city in the middle. Now, let's say as a member of the Thieves Guild, instead of you getting involved by, fighting directly, maybe you can use your connections with the Thieves Guild to send some of your some of your footpads, which is a term for a thief, to basically go and steal from the supply trains. Basically, do this enough and you can destroy the war readiness of that other army. So then, you didn't have to fight, some time passes, the other army, they don't have enough equipment, they don't have enough arrows, they don't have enough, the equipment they do have is shoddy. Or maybe you do a side quest for the Dark Brotherhood, and you basically just put out contracts on opposing commanders of the other army. I mean, instead of just, straight up, hey, I killed these people because I had to, this very standardized format. Just some ideas. But things that you do in one quest affect another. Like, maybe in the beginning of the game, you can be tasked to help a village or hinder a village. And if you help said villagers, maybe someone you meet later on in the game turns out to be the son of one of the people in that village, and they're like, hey, you helped them out. But maybe you do something later where you wipe everyone out in the village, you kill all of them, or you cause them to die horrifically. And now you're in a situation where, oh snap, I killed these people. Holy shit. This is not good. That type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So, and you meet that person's son later on, they're like, because of you, my family's been murdered. So they have a bone to pick with you. Having effective, as in affect, not effect, as in having influence on others through your actions, not effect, the actual action that has the influence on others. Get what I'm saying? So with that being said, let's move on to number 4. after the cut. Okay, this is a big one. We need better AI in these games because the AI basically sucks. It's very it's piss poor. The enemies that have the best AI I've seen in Elder Scrolls are wolves. Elder Scrolls 6. We can do better than this. What I mean by this is, wouldn't it be interesting if you're basically taking on bandits and the archers pin you down with arrows with shooting arrows at you. Meanwhile, some gentlemen with swords and shields and melee weapons flank you. Or let's say you have to take out a bandit who is a relatively well-known bandit chief who has other bandits underneath him, and he finds out through spies in the local legitimate power structure that, hey, they sent some guy to kill you, so now he's got bandits on the lookout for you. And he's not going to fight you directly. If he does, it's going to do it after you fight your way through his men. He's going to basically have them, there's going to be tactics. Like maybe he or she, because you can have female bandit leaders, maybe they're sitting there trying to keep your ass. He's got his heavily armored dudes sitting up there, running up towards you, basically preventing you from getting close to you, while his magic users are peppering you with magic attacks, or they catch you in a pincer movement where someone's stabbing you from behind. I mean, the AI needs to be better. And the sad thing is that it's a step backwards because you had better AI in Elder Scrolls Oblivion and Morrowind to an extent. Morrowind. But, I mean, it needs to be better. It needs to be much, much better than it is. So, yeah. Just, tell me how you feel about that. Okay, then let me get to number 5 after the cut. Magic in the Elder Scrolls series has gotten shittier and more useless with each iteration, which shouldn't be the case because magic in most fantasy settings is pretty damn badass. Basically, in Oblivion, magic was pretty useful. You could basically main the game as a magic user if you wanted to. And you'd have to give up other things in order to be a magic user, but you could do it. Same thing with Morrowind, Arena, Daggerfall, stuff like that. This game, it needs to be better. Skyrim's magic system was like this. In the beginning, magic was really useful. And then once you got to around level 30, 40, magic just kind of plateaued out. And then once you get to the end game, you could basically hit an enemy with your master level magic spells and it would do jack and shit. Which is not cool. It's not cool that magic, it looked pretty, but it did nothing. And that's not good for any type of fantastical RPG. Magic should be, magic should be the opposite. Magic should basically, in the beginning of a game, magic should be, if you aren't primarily a magic class, magic should be, and I hope they implement this in the next Elder Scrolls game, magic should be kind of useless in the beginning because, you're not very powerful in it. You pull off a fireball, a dude gets lit on fire, it's like, oh shit, I'm on fire! And he should be like, oh, that dude's dead because that dude's on fire. It should do massive damage to low-level enemies. But then, once you get a little bit further up, a little bit more capable, you start facing enemies who are actually kind of prepared for magic, so it doesn't do that much. But as you get farther along in the game, and if you focus on magic, you should be rewarded for being good at it. You should be able to make better, have better magic spells. Add new Bring back old magic schools of magic. Bring back necromancy. Bring back augury or divination. Bring back the more interesting magics in the game. Like, it doesn't always have to be like, you know, fancy. And destruction should really be, you know, destruction and conjuration should be split into summoning and then summoning and invoke. No, it should be summoning. It should be conjuration and evocation. They should be two different things because it would be more interesting to me. Evocation would summoning would basically be like conjuration would be essentially bound things like you're using like bound weapons, bound armor, bound swords, bound bow and arrows, more bound stuff. You're summoning things. You're pulling things from the Aedra in order to defend yourself or protect yourself. And then evocation is you summoning creatures from the Daedric realm. So it's a Dremora, it's a fire Atronach, it's an ice Atronach, it's a storm Atronach, it's an earth Atronach, it's a wind Atronach. Like basically, just there needs to be more magic needs to become more viable for in-game experiences, which kind of dovetails off of my first thing. My second one is that everything needs to be viable for in-game. So we'll move on to number 6 after the cut. Okay, this is a big one because we don't really get these very often. There needs to be better Daedric quests. Every Elder Scrolls game has Daedric quests, but there needs to be better ones in the next one. By and large, aside from the Dark Brotherhood quest, which, spoiler alert, the Dark Brotherhood is a cult for one of the Daedra, said this in the Elder Scrolls universe. So that's a Daedra. The Dark Brotherhood quest is a Daedric quest. That's been in almost every game. The Thieves Guild, also a Dark Brother. The Night Mother, not Night Mother. I forgot the character. But basically, a lot of the guild quests are basically built around Daedra. But I think almost every Daedra needs to have an interesting quest, like something interesting that goes further into the character and expands upon the lore. But that's just me. But yeah, there needs to be better Daedric quests. Number 7, after the cut. So this is a big one. The Elder Scrolls series has had a history of having DLC since Morrowind, really. Technically, the patches that you had to get in order to get the shit to run on other because they were so buggy back in the day, I guess would be technically DLC and expansions. But basically, what I'm saying is this: Elder Scrolls games. This next one needs to have better. It needs to have no useless DLC. Hearthfire, useless DLC. Like literally. It didn't need to exist. Hearthfire didn't need to exist because, that was like a $20 DLC, and it really, here's the thing. What you can build in the game isn't as nice as the highest end houses that you can buy. So, I would just say, don't, keep the Creation Club thing, because you guys are really, gung-ho for that shit, but do something different, okay? So yeah, the next Elder Scrolls game needs to have DLC that's impactful and expands the world or does something we've never seen before. Like, maybe have a DLC where you find out the reason your character has all of these abilities, if you can't do any of these things, is that you're the product of an Aedra and a Daedra basically combining some of their powers to create something new, and something happened and you came out. You're not under the auspices of either side of this equation. So basically, I mean, like, give us DLC where you create your own Aedric or Daedric realm, you know? I mean, if Sheogorath can have new the Shivering Isles, and, you know, the Nocturnal can have, you know, the Evergloom and all, the Ebenmere and Evergloom and all that stuff. Create your own thing, and, you know, actually have you go and, like, do things in order to add new experiences and sizes and stuff to it. That'd be cool. But you get what I'm saying. It's like, do something different. We'll get into the rest of it after the cut. Okay then, so, I mean, basically, in conclusion, the big thing that kind of I'm saying is that, you know, I'm not saying that I won't like these games if, you know, it doesn't have, you know, X, Y, or Z in it. I'm just saying it would be very interesting and probably make the next Elder Scrolls a better game if it had this in it. Are any of these things going to happen? Probably not, because it's Bethesda and they're going to do whatever the hell they want. With that being said, give me your thoughts on what you think the next Elder Scrolls game could have that would make it a better game or more interesting to you. So with that being said, that's the end of this video. Remember, leave your questions, comments, concerns, rate, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you for listening to my video. And that's that. This Saturday, we will be in the Sci-Fi Power Hour-ish. We will be talking about some of the big news that's been coming out. Mostly, the big one is that AT&T and basically bought Warner Brothers. So, I mean, they're merging together. What does that mean for the movies that we're getting? And Fox and Disney possibly, even though Comcast tried their damnedest, what does that mean for us gamers? I mean, for us people who like Marvel and everything they do. Well, you know, stuff like that. And the other movies that are under Disney / Fox. So we'll talk about that. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the video, and have a good day. Saturday, BS Busters will be at 7:30, and Sunday, Sci-Fi Power Hour-ish will be Saturday at 7:30 to 8:30. It's an hour long. If you'd like to be a part of that podcast, like one of the panelists, just shoot me a thing saying that you're interested in the comment section, and we'll get in contact and you can join. The BS Busters, same thing, same time, just on Sunday, 7:30 to 9. So look forward to that, and that's the end of the podcast or the video. Thank you and have a good day.